Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Coincilium Chairman Malcolm Pallay and CEO Eddie Travier. Malcolm and Eddie, great to have you both on the show today.
Thanks.
So you're up with your interim results last week. Apart from the very positive outlook statements, one of the highlights was the increase in available assets for sale at fair value. Eddie, can you take us through that?
Yes, sure. Well, I mean, we have invested in this company called CoinDash back in 2017, and they have been pivoting a bit. And for the last few years, what they have been focusing on is actually staking, decentralized Ethereum staking. So without going too much into technical details, it's a very important solution that helps people to stake Ethereum even if they don't have the minimum requirement, which is 32 ETH, which is a large amount now, to actually do their own staking. And they have been doing that very successfully. And the token that they have released for that activity is called the SSV token, has been increasing quite a lot over the last few months, and therefore, because they hold, actually CoinDash holds a significant amount of SSV token in their treasury, we believe that it was a very good and solid reason to actually increase the valuation of that company, and of course the valuation of our stake in CoinDash. So they have more than 1 million ETH being staked on their system called the SSV network, and all the metrics are very positive, and so that's where the impact of this increase in our assets, fair value assets, has come from.
The metric for that is we've increased the value of our stake by 346%, but even that was sort of prudent and cautious because it has increased effectively by over 500%, but it's quite a volatile kind of asset. So we sort of used an average which we felt was more cautious and prudent. So that's the good thing about that. So yeah, that seems to be coming to life.
And Malcolm, it looks like a lot of other things are going to be coming to life pretty soon. So there are a number of catalysts that you outlined in the outlook statement, and particularly the yellow token. Would you be able to chat to us about that?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie will probably best to go into detail of it, and I'll just start off by saying it's an investment that we made in 2022 under what we refer to as a SAFT, which is a simple agreement for future tokens. It's been a long time in the making, but they have a very interesting trading solution, which Eddie, as I say, will detail a little bit. But the bottom line is that after all this time, they're finally doing their token sale in December. We put $200,000 into this very early stage. And last week there was an announcement that the chairman of Ripple has led around for 10 million in that. So that's an interesting development, and everything sort of is focusing us, which we explained in our outlook statement, getting a catalyst and a value crystallization point. But Eddie, perhaps you can explain a little bit more about what Yellow does and why it's so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rapprochement between two important, let's say, people in the space and companies as well. So on one side, you have the co-founder of GSR, which is one of the largest crypto market making companies in the world, which has worked with the most popular and the most leading projects in crypto. And on the other hand, you have the founders of a company called Openware, which have developed trading engines for traditional markets, exchanges, and over the last few years for a majority of crypto exchanges around the world. So you have both a very good acumen of and expertise of the crypto trading market, and on the other side, you have a very good, deep technical background in that space. And that has created this solution, which is called the Yellow Network, which is basically a decentralized clearing network, which should enable things that don't exist today, because liquidity in crypto trading is extremely fragmented. So it should help with that. creating some kind of seamless trading experience and even high frequency trading experience in crypto, which doesn't exist at this stage. And so a lot of technical innovation coming into this. And as Malcolm was saying, we've been looking forward to the token launch, which should happen in December this year. So very excited about this project.
Eddie, you also make mention in the Outlook statements of the strategic partnership with Lightflow, and we've talked about Web3 innovation before on Proactive. Take us through the outlook for that going forward.
Yeah, this has started really well. So we have known the Lightflow team as well for a few years. They are pioneers in the technical aspects of NFTs, NFT marketplaces, NFT and token staking. They work with very established brands like Animoca Brands, which is the name of the company, and these are Animoca is kind of a conglomerate of different gaming and Web3 gaming and Web3 companies. So they have a great experience in that, and we have partnered with them so that we are creating this Web3 initiative to support projects. And through this initiative, we have a monthly kind of pitch session. We have already received a lot of applications. It's going to be our third pitch session tomorrow. And the pitch session is open to applicants in the Web3 space. And we're going to support them, especially with our advisory services and Lightflow with their technical capacity. And so I think it's a great combination. We've got great projects applying, and it also is feeding our pipeline of advisory clients as well.
Well, before I ask Malcolm about the outlook for Bitcoin and those advisory services, and perhaps you could maybe mention, Eddie, the Automato investment, and we've spoken about this before because it's also another near-term growth catalyst.
Yeah, this is also a recent development. We invested just after our interim period. This is very interesting in the sense that automation protocols have been extremely successful in the traditional Web2 model. There are very well-known platforms like Zapier or IFTTT, and they don't really exist in the Web3 space. And in Web3, there are many things you would like to do actually that could be automated. So for example, of course, crypto trading on decentralized finance platforms, DeFi, which is one of the use cases. Other use cases can be trading of NFTs or really anything that you can program on these blockchain platforms. But of course, the first direction would be more geared to creating automations for crypto trading. And the interesting part of this investment is that, because as we mentioned, we have made some investments that have been taking a long time, maybe sometimes a couple of years to get into the token launch phase. With this one, we have agreed that there will be a revenue share until the token is launched. So I think we are a bit more knowledgeable now in terms of how these things can pan out in terms of the investment stage and when we can start exiting or selling the tokens at some point. So we're making sure that we could get some revenues before then. So that's the interesting aspect. But Automato as a Web3 automation protocol, we believe has a lot of promise and can do very well commercially soon.
Malcolm, as mentioned, advisory services is a big part of the business. With the crypto movements this year, how do you see that going forward? And are we likely to see Bitcoin move from its current stagnant position?
Yeah. Stagnant is a relative term, but in a lot of worlds, it's probably the last thing you'd call it. But obviously, for crypto traders, 6 months of sort of chop is certainly looked at as stagnant with our attention span. But if I can just move back to just round off what Eddie was saying about our advisory services, this deal with Lightflow brings in a technical capability to our advisory services. We've never really had that before. And we've, in the past, when we've provided advisory services, and we set up the division in 2017, we were always looking at strategic and go-to-market strategies, and also leveraging Eddie and the company's network with market makers, funding, and connections and community building, and all the things we did well. But when a project comes to us and they want help, and they've got their own tech team and they know what they're doing, that's a great fit. But there are often we get approached by projects who haven't exactly got what is needed on the tech side. And so with this partnership with Lightflow, they plug that gap very nicely for us. So between us, it was just a sort of an ideal meeting of minds. And that's given our advisory service capability a sort of 360 dimension, which is great. The advisory services is it's famine or feast. And it is getting back to what you were talking about with the market cycles and Bitcoin price. Everything is driven by the price of crypto and the sentiment in the market. And we've seen this cyclically played out certainly since Coincilium's birth, and even before. And it usually goes in 4-year, well, certainly historically in 4-year cycles, tied to the halving in Bitcoin and various other aspects of the business cycle. But ultimately, what does it mean? It means that the big sort of cycle where we came in 2017 and 18, because we actually launched those services at the right time in those cycles. The price of Bitcoin was going up, price of crypto was going up, the market was improving, and the demand for our services was moving in lockstep, to the extent that in 2017 we helped, 2018, which was sort of what that cycle straddled. We worked with 10 ICO projects, serious ones, including Phantom and Icon and various others. And at that time, the industry was less mature. Eddie's kind of profile was sufficient to actually garner a lot of interest in the projects alone, and in collectively on aggregate we helped these projects raise around 500 million with the other advisors and also our involvement, and that booked revenues in 2017 of 586,000 for Coincilium, and in 2018 1.682 million. So you can see that when you geared up and at the right stage in the cycle, and you've actually got your advisory services lined up, and the clients are coming in and the market's on fire, you can do very well. Well, what we've done this time round is positioned ourselves over the last 2 years so that we're actually aligned with where we need to be when the market does get into gear, which is starting to now. And we're already seeing us announcing advisory clients. We've had a few. We've got a few more that are going to hopefully come through in the near term. And on top of that, with that capability sort of joining up with Lightflow, where we've got that 360 service, I think that's like a one-stop shop for us. So we're very excited, and we've got, as I say, we've got much more scale built into our model. We acquired the Tokenomics business, which we announced in the 2023, and that's again given us scale. So we really are sort of ready for this run when it happens. And finally, as to if you want a price prediction from me for Bitcoin, I'm sort of going out on a limb with that, but don't forget that will drive everything else. That will drive the other cryptos. It will drive investments, because if Bitcoin is at 100,000, it's much easier to justify investing some of your Bitcoin into a project than it is when it's at 65,000, and 100,000 I think is just the start. So I think we're going to see a 6-figure handle, if not by the end of the year. I'll stick my neck out and say by the end of the year. Certainly, I'm expecting a new all-time high before then anyway.
And then what does that then mean for the second half of your financial year then, Malcolm?
Well, I mean, probably more for 2025, but you'll start it'll start getting into gear. And I think that's really, we'll be able to look back at the second half of 2024. We're already halfway through the second half now anyway. And, we're coming towards the end of the chop. So it'll give us a good boost. And certainly people will start seeing this whole news cycle play out in hopefully from early 2025. So yeah, very excited going forward, and not just for us, but for the whole crypto sector, and also for our shareholders who've long supported us. So and sort of everyone in the sector knows what this is all about. So there you go.
Eddie, do you concur? Could we see 100,000 by the end of the year?
I think we can get close to it. I mean, 100,000 obviously is a symbolic number because, it's the first time that Bitcoin would hit six figures, but I think we're going to get close to it, which means, yeah, I mean, my prediction is more in the 90,000 range, but it's not too far. Yes.
Well, I'm sure we're going to be having lots more
We'll see.
conversations.
I mean, hopefully Malcolm is right.
Hopefully, yes. James, thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
That's Consilium Chairman Malcolm Pallay and CEO Eddie Travier.